All right,
We are
we are.
live. Hey,
Yay!
everybody. What's happening? There we go.
It's very crowded up in here behind
That's right.
me.
It is. We got like every Gorn known to man in there.
I do. I've got, well, one of them is actually hiding down here. That's the lower decks one, is right above my name there. So we've got the lower decks one. Let's see. I feel like I'm a weatherman trying to point at stuff. Lower decks here. And then we've got the next one up here. That is the one from the Star Trek 2009, the JJ verse, Kelvin verse video game.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we've got our classic Gorn here that started it all. Back here, we've got the Gorn from the animated series. And over here, we've got the Gorn from Enterprise. And I would put him on the screen, except he's green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've got my little,
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
but he's like a ghost.
Yeah.
Because funny thing,
Hey, he's a chameleon.
yeah, I guess that's the Gorn's
Yeah.
camouflage, right? They've got their own built-in
That's right.
cloaking device.
Yeah. When he gets scared,
Yeah.
he gets invisible. Yeah, that one in the background is kind of small for me, but the one on your right, the very right, looks like a chameleon holding a chainsaw. That's
Yeah, well, the thing is, in the video game,
I see it now.
there's like a bunch of different types of them. It's a whole very heavy set ones and muscly ones and some.
Right.
So I think it's like different species, like specialized for different types of work, like the grunts and so forth and so on.
Yeah. Oh, look, we already got a comment. We hadn't even started.
Mm-hmm. Yes, well, I will actually be mentioning that as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, you ready to get started? We don't have the music or anything. So as you listen to this, we may make some sounds with our mouths, appropriate
Well,
sounds.
hopefully we'll make a lot of sounds with our mouths. Otherwise, it's just a silent movie as a podcast, which really doesn't work all that well.
We'll just mime the whole thing.
Yeah,
Anyway.
technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But we'll also, another reason for that, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yep.
But all right, so we'll just get started then. I'll do the intro. If we get to put music in behind it later on, that's great. If not, we'll just run with it.
All right. Cue the strings. Play the music. All right, go for
it. This is The Topic is Trek, episode 116 for Friday, June 3rd, 2022. Coming up in this episode, Dr. Erin gets all science-y. Picard season 3 villain is the Gorn are back. Vazquez Rock is not. All that and more right now on this Freaky Friday edition of The Topic is Trek. What's up, Spacedock? And hello, everyone. I'm Clinton, one of your Topic is Trek co-hosts. If something sounds a bit strange, that means in post-production we haven't put in some of the audio effects because we're running a little differently this week, and we'll explain that in just one second. But beaming in to join me, as always, from parts unknown, is Mr. Craig Stepp, and I will do the sound of the transporter.
I feel like I ate too much.
Hope that's not your catchphrase.
No, actually, my catchphrase was "Soylent Green is people."
There you go.
Which I guess I ate too much.
Yeah,
we'll okay. With that.
Yeah, but I don't really want to know what you ate then. And unfortunately, Mr. Chuck Tomasi is away on assignment. He did a landing party, and he's just kind of like stuck there for the moment. So
the transporters, as you can tell, are out.
Yeah, when you got to do, there's a problem.
That's right.
But he'll be back next time. Have no fear. Oh, we've got. Yes,
that's exactly right.
He's on his still on his faraway mission to Risa.
He won't get back on the shuttle and come home. He extended his stay. Yeah, he'll be back next time, hopefully.
Fear not. He will be here. But we're going to get started. And I was all pumped because I had a new intro for Subspace Chatter, and now we don't even have any intro for Subspace Chatter this
Oh,
week. So look forward to the next episode where we'll have an interesting twist on our
okay.
intro to Subspace Chatter.
Wow, a twist.
A twist, a little bit of lime. It's nice. It's nice. All right,
What the lime?
let's start off with first story. We were psyched to see friend of the show, Dr. Erin McDonald, hosting a video about the science of Star Trek. She was speaking about the brown dwarf and black hole seen in Memento Mori episode of Strange New Worlds. You know, the one with the Gorn, right? That's the one we're talking about. Anyway,
Mhm.
Dr. Erin giving the same presentation. We can imagine Dr. Erin giving the same presentation to the writing staff when the team was trying to come up with the scenarios for this episode.
Yeah. She
I mean,
probably had a PowerPoint set up for it.
yeah, can you, we're looking something where, they can go in and things happen, but they won't get damaged, but they'll seem very much like that. Oh, have I got the scenario for you?
Yeah, that's right.
We have a link to the video in the show notes for episode 116 over at The Topic is Trek. Oh, and I did have the ding set up here for this someplace.
Ding.
There we go.
Oh,
.com.
there you go. Yeah,
One effect. We've got one effect and we're going to use it.
that's right.
All right, Craig, what do you got?
We spare no expense here. So we are less than 3 weeks away from the launch of Paramount Plus. What? Oh, in the UK.
Yes.
While Strange New Worlds will be available at launch, it seems the series will lag behind the US and Canada. The first 3 episodes will be available on Wednesday, June 22nd, with subsequent episodes also debuting on Wednesdays. And if you haven't done the math right, that means the UK will be getting Space Amok, or sorry, Spock Amok, the same week here in the US as we get the finale here in the US. We imagine subsequent seasons of Star Trek New Worlds will, as well as Prodigy and Lower Decks and Discovery and Picard and everything else they throw at us, will be more in line with other markets.
Yeah, I that's just the way it worked out. I looked at all the weeks that are coming up, and that's the way estimated is that the thing we got this week, they'll be getting the same time we know how the whole season ends.
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
of course,
so let's go. We'll go straight to Facebook and start posting.
yeah, well, unfortunately, I mean, this is the problem until Paramount Plus is rolled out everywhere, and they've got plans. They've got a bunch more countries that are coming online this year and into the beginning of next year. So hopefully, globally, we'll all be on the same page by the middle of next year, which would be good.
I got to tell you, it is hard to avoid spoilers. Again, like as we've talked about here, just because we're so immersed in Star Trek, for example, if you don't watch the episode on day one whenever it comes out, even if I see the title or maybe even an image, I'll go, "Oh, I know what that means."
Yeah.
You know, I went to see Doctor Strange this last weekend.
Did you have a little medical problem you had to go?
Yeah, he said it. He said, "Don't do this, and it won't hurt anymore." No, so it's been like just over 2 weeks since the movie came out, and I swear everybody on the planet was trying hard to spoil it for me. And after about 2 weeks, it's for a game, I guess. Pretty much everybody starts posting stuff about things, and I hope it's not like that for our UK listeners that so they don't get too spoiled with it.
Yeah, you hope there's no podcast or anything like that to talk about
well,
the episodes as they come out.
Actually, as I was saying that, I started saying, "Well, that's actually what we do."
Whoopsie!
Yeah,
Doing a whole business model here.
Yeah. As you can tell, I'm a really bright guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the world of the internet, and it's hard for me to judge how well people stay away from spoiling Trek because I read all the articles, so I kind of know stuff ahead of time. I don't tend to see a lot of stuff on the day itself that it premieres here in the US, but by the end of the weekend, it's pretty much all out there, whatever's been happening. The memes start up and everything starts rolling.
Well, Star Trek, like I said, for you and I, it's like, well, we got to record a show tonight. I have to watch it today, to at least know about it. So, which is fine. But there's times when you go, I can't watch it for a day or two. Something's coming up.
Yep. Yep.
So
All right. Well, speaking of Star Trek, as we often do here because the topic is Trek, if you've been trying
ding.
to figure out who the big bad will be in the third season of Picard, which by the way
Mm.
is also the final season, you're wasting your time. Responding to fans on Twitter, showrunner Terry Matalas has stated that it's a new character played by someone you've seen a million times before, someone I've always wanted to work with, and wow, you're not ready. Logically, fans followed up on this because of the someone you've seen a million times and saying, is it Jeffrey Combs?
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
And alas, no. Matalas also said that the actor has never been in Trek.
Who? Jeffrey Combs?
No. The actor who's, I think Jeffrey Combs has
Oh,
been in
the
Trek.
person they're bringing in. I got
Yeah, I
you.
can't remember what part he played, but
Yeah.
I think he's been in it once or twice.
Yeah.
But cheer up. Sure, you may not be able to guess who the villain is, but you can also take comfort in the fact that, according to Matalas, the TNG characters returning for Picard will all be in the same room at the same time, at least in one scene. Because
Okay.
there was that concern out there that, oh, okay, so Picard needs to have something done and he's going to go visit with Geordi, and then is it something I'm going to see Worf, and of course he can see, Riker
You
and
just
Troy.
described the TNG finale.
Yeah, so this he said no, they will all be in the same, at least the fan asked one scene. And although he acknowledged one scene, that's not to say it's not more than one scene, but that the
Surely
question was just
not.
about one scene.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, but I can see that you can't really have everybody in every scene all the time. So there are going to be times when you're only going to have one or two people, but you want
Wait,
to
is that
have
the kind of question he asked? Is that the question he asked? Will they all be at least one scene? He said there
yeah,
will be at least one.
right,
That's
right.
a stupid way to ask a question. Why don't you say, are they together most of the time? To
Well,
expand it a little bit.
he doesn't understand the rules, like about, when you make a wish with the genie, how that works. You got to be really, really
Yeah,
specific
right.
what you're asking.
That's right. That's right. I will.
I don't, did you want to say anything? Because I've got an article here that I didn't get a chance to do anything up on, but the Orville, I believe, didn't the Orville start up today?
It did start up today. I did want to mention it. I know Star Trek, the Orville, it's different things, but I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this show probably watch the Orville too. I watched the episode this morning. I was very excited for it. I thought it was fantastic. And I, they really came out with a bang, following up on where they left off the previous season, and you could tell they spent more time and money on the effects. So there's that. Now I was looking at this article. I did not watch this video. Um, it said Carl Urban talking about Star Trek 4. I thought he was going to show up on the Orville. But anyway, I can highly recommend the Orville. I thought it was a great start to that
Okay.
season 3.
All right. Sounds good. And
Is that what you're asking me? Did I?
yeah, I didn't know if you'd had a chance to see it yet. And I know that it was, of course, it's weird because they're both now going to be on Thursdays. And that's kind of like,
I know.
did it really have to be Thursday? But I don't know, were previous
I
seasons of the Orville on Thursdays?
yeah.
I don't have an idea.
Um,
Or was
I
that
don't remember what day because usually I was watching it time shifted anyway. But I will say this: it's very if it was like TNG before, I think it's even more so now. So
Indeed, indeed. All right. Well,
yeah,
that is the stories we're going to cover this time around because we've got 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds, but we have
yes,
links to how many more articles? To 25 more articles. Now, there were more articles than that, um, but so many of them are just Strange New Worlds. I mean, and a lot of them are reviews of the episodes, and that's competition. We don't want that. No, but I
oh
mean, it's just so many times you
yeah.
can
There's no shortage of
post an
the
article. Yeah.
yeah.
So
There's no shortage of Oh, here we go. Wait a minute. We got a comment. Davy Sitter says, "How awesome would it be if the baddie was Ian McKellen?" That would be pretty awesome, wouldn't it? For Picard,
Indeed. Um,
that would be pretty awesome. See him embrace and a kiss, as friends,
a very special episode of
as they've done.
Picard.
Yeah.
But we have links to
So they're
all
bringing.
this.
Wait a minute. They're bringing Gandalf into Star Trek Picard.
I thought it was weird with thinking about the fact that you now have three people that are major characters in Star Trek have been major characters in the Marvel universe as well. Anson,
That's right.
who was just in Doctor Strange. I guess that's a spoiler, but not by this point. Reprising the role he played on the television series that I think was on Fox. I forget which, but it was a
I
short-lived
think.
series.
Uh, I think it was also. It was on ABC.
Oh, okay, all right,
I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure because so is Agents of Shield. So.
right. And then obviously Patrick Stewart as Professor
Mm-hmm.
X, and then Rebecca Romaine as Mystique.
That's right.
So
Yep.
you have three major Star Trek. I'm sure there's others that I'm blanking on, but just struck me as interesting. When we talk all the time about how that line is just blurred out of existence now, about what are the distinctions between an actor being on this show or that show. I mean, if it's a good actor and the actor's on this show or that show, it
Mm-hmm.
works. If the character works, if the actor works, it works. It just plain old works. So
Yeah.
good on people for being able to
Yeah.
hop,
And everybody wins.
around back and forth. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well,
Yep.
let us move on to our main mission because we have interesting things to talk about in two very different episodes of Star Trek Strange New
Yes.
Worlds. We're going to begin with
I'm very excited for these 2 episodes.
all right, we're going to be talking about, first off, oh, by the way, spoiler alert. Clearly, we're going to be talking about the people in the UK, just giving you the warning. I know soon you'll be able to see the show, but not right now. First one is Memento Mori, which I went and translated just to be on the safe side, and it translates from the Latin meaning remember death. So pleasant title there. Written by Davy Perez and Bo DeMeo, and directed by Dan Liu, Liu, Liu. Forgive me if I pronounced your name, Dan. Short synopsis. While on a routine supply mission to a colony planet, the USS Enterprise comes under an attack from the Gorn, a species the Federation has never encountered in battle. The crew must use unconventional methods to escape destruction. In sickbay, Una must trust Mbenga and Chapel to use primitive techniques to save her life. And trapped in the main cargo bay, Hammer and Uhura try to stabilize an important piece of equipment that could potentially destroy the ship. So everybody's got a little bit going on here in this episode. And I want to mention that.
As a matter of fact,
right
I
off the
read a
bat.
review. I read. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. What'd you say?
Well, I just want to mention that this episode and the next one, everybody might not have a lot of business, but they're clearly going out of the way to make sure that everybody's in the shots, that they're there,
Yes.
and hopefully they have something major to do.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job. Splitting everybody up and giving them something important to do. We saw more Uhura and Hammer. Yeah, I think it was great. I really enjoyed this. I read one review and the guy described it as a disaster movie. In Star Trek, I went, that's about right because everything they were doing or everything that could go wrong was going wrong. Until they got their act together and got the other upper hand. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, you have to build up the suspense, obviously, and the easiest way to do that is that
Mm-hmm.
nothing you try is working to escape, or in their case, it was working, but it was putting them further and further into peril. It's like, okay, we're going to run away from the Gorn based on the advice from our acting first officer, and we're going to go into the area where there's a brown dwarf that's circling around a black hole. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So they get themselves
Right.
kind of into that situation. Um, it was interesting as well. I don't know what when we first know that it's the Gorn. Obviously, we get that recognition from Laan that she knows it's the
Hmm.
Gorn that are coming. But the girl said that Fig said that they made this clicking sound. I'm thinking, I don't I don't associate a clicking sound with the Gorn. I thought that was an interesting choice of a sound to make. I don't know why they didn't want to go with a hiss, whether it be too much
Yeah.
of a giveaway immediately or what the deal was, but it seemed the clicking sound was something that seemed a little strange. Even if you
Maybe
say,
that's what they
well,
do in their sleep.
yeah, maybe so.
I
Well,
don't know.
I have a theory about
Yeah.
I also have a theory about I have lots of theories about things that never pan out, but I a theory we probably will talk about at some point about the Gorn that we're seeing now, quote unquote, and the Gorn that was in TOS. But let's talk about these Gorn and what's
Hmm.
happening in here first. Yeah, the Enterprise goes through
Right.
a lot of damage once again here.
No kidding.
I I
Yeah.
didn't understand why they couldn't extend the shield though to get around the other ship as well when the Gorn were attacking, because usually we see something in very close proximity can be within inside the shields of the ship, and
Yeah.
that
It
ship
was
couldn't be
obviously close enough to put a gangway there.
exactly.
Yeah.
But and also it was very strange that the Gorn set a trap, and what do? They sever the thing that's stopping the Enterprise from putting up its shields. The thing they blow up
Oh.
is the gangway.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wait, but that great, that's wonderful. Now we can put up the shields. Nice work.
Yeah. That's right.
And then we
Yeah.
have so
So their strategy wasn't perfect right there at first.
yeah, because they attacked, and then long period of time where the ship is obviously still in the area before the Enterprise can get into the area where the brown dwarf is. They don't really do any shooting until the Enterprise starts to leave to go where the brown dwarf is. It didn't
Hmm.
seem like the attack was well thought out, even though they had
Yeah.
clearly well thought it out that they had done something to lure a starship there, and then they were going to attack the starship, and then they just said, "Well, we'll go pew 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 a couple times, and then we'll stop." But I mean, you
Right.
can't have the Enterprise being destroyed. Obviously, that would end the show. So,
Oh,
um,
yeah. We're already on Enterprise A. It's
yeah.
only 4 episodes in. Yeah.
Although we
Hey,
do
by
find
the
out
way,
that the
I
Enterprise
like
never
your.
was
Okay.
destroyed.
Hey, just so everybody knows, Clinton puts these screenshots in here, and he gives little comments on here on some of them for story beats. So when we're talking about these episodes, we have something to clue off of. And here's this one made me laugh. Una calls out Leon for her lack of flair because she
Well,
wasn't
that's what she's
wearing
doing.
the
You
Starfleet.
don't have to wear the pin. You know, everyone
Yeah,
else is wearing the pin, but you need to have that
no,
flair. You just need to have that little bit of
I
flair on you.
just never thought the lack of flair. I thought that was hilarious. Uh,
Uh, and at the end of the episode, she does put on her flair, so now she can work at the restaurant. So
yes.
that's good to know.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we get a lot of this episode has a lot of Lan in it, and the backstory of her
Hmm.
surviving, being taken to the Gorn planet, the incubation planet, the nursery.
Yes.
We don't really get a lot of glimpse of the other people that are there, and it's very confusing because it seems like when they're doing the mind meld, and she goes to where the person is giving the book. I can't remember if she identified that person as her brother or not.
Yes, I
Um,
believe it was her brother. I
okay,
believe
because
that was who it was.
okay. Because he some people go, "Well, why did he have to stay?" Well, if you looked, he had on a uniform. So
Mhm.
he was needing to stay, but he was telling her to run, to take the book that was how to decode some information and leave.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
but we get to see some of what her torture, what her backstory, what her pain is, but it reaches a point where even she blocks that out. Spock says, "Well, your
Mhm.
subconscious is saying, yep, that's it. That's as far as we're going with this.
Yep.
No further."
That's
So
right.
that I don't know whether that implies we're going to get something more later on, that maybe what happened to her brother, or I imagine her parents were there as well.
Yeah.
So maybe
Or
something that
yeah.
happens to
Or
them.
were. Yeah.
Um, but there's more to that story, just like we had in Picard. Well, we get to that door, but there's something more going on there, and I think that there's more that we're going to find out about what's going on or what went on that uh,
Mhm.
on that planet.
Oh.
That
Yeah, I feel like that's the case as well. Yep.
yeah, and then we also find out that the Vulcan mind meld goes both ways, because all of a sudden Lon starts to hear this conversation-y thing going on between Spock and Burnham. It says,
Yeah.
"Oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
a sister. You lost your sister. She
Yeah.
sacrificed her."
Spot said,
Yeah,
"Come out."
yeah. Said, "Well, we're out. Peace out. We're ending this one right now. I'm
Yeah.
pulling the plug on this whole thing."
That's right.
Yeah, because he got pretty
Yeah.
shook
Well, it
by
does.
it.
Well, we've seen it go both ways before. Remember, even in the 2009 Star Trek, older Spock did a mild mail with Kirk, and he said, "Sorry, the emotions are part of a transference of mind meld."
Right, and
We've
that
seen that
we've had
kind of
things with
before. Yeah.
Spock before where he kind of like he makes a contact and it's hard for him to break the contact. So, clearly it's kind of this thing going in both directions.
Yeah.
With something where he suddenly starts to take on the personality of the thing he's trying to do the mind meld with. Um,
Right.
so yeah, but it was interesting to actually like see it. You have him in there,
Hmm.
and she and he are having this conversation about it. And I really like the look on Ethan Peck's face on this Spock, as you can see him just start to get angry about it. Like,
Yeah.
this is supposed. I think he thought of it as, this is supposed to be a one-way thing. This is about me helping you. I don't need you helping me. So we're
Yeah.
gonna
Maybe a little
consolidate
frustration.
on
I don't
that.
know about anger, but yeah, had a little frustration or something. Yeah, you're right though. He was like, "What? No," and he cut that conversation off really quick.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
speaking about things being cut off, we suddenly have Uhura and Hemmer cut off in the cargo bay,
Yep.
which looks often like engineering. I mean, that the sets kind of have the virtual sets have that same going off into the distance look to them. Had to remind myself that's a cargo
Right.
bay. It's not engineering.
Yeah.
I think they
I
need to
know you have to
distinguish
see
those two a bit more.
the cargo bay has a door in the back. Not this one.
Yeah.
This has like a big energy thing. I'm not sure what it is back there, but yeah.
So their story was more of a character piece. It wasn't. I don't think either of us thought that this was going to be a life-threatening situation for Hemmer, and certainly it couldn't be a life-threatening situation for Uhura. Otherwise, that would be really
Yeah.
strange. So this was more
Yeah.
about who these characters are, and mostly about, because we feel like
Hmm.
we know, even though we're learning more about Uhura, but we feel like we know an awful lot about her, but more of Hemmer and how he sees life, the philosophy of pacifism and what that means, and how that
Yeah.
integrates with him being on the ship, and how he doesn't get along with people, but clearly you can get through to him, because Uhura definitely this is not the first time she's kind of impressed him and gotten through to him. But even
Mm-hmm.
their first introduction to him, when she basically calls them both out for pulling the prank on her, and he says, "Oh, I like her,"
Well, yeah. Remember, he obviously hurt his hand, so he was incapacitated to some degree, and you saw him kind of lighten up, and even consoling Uhura a little bit when she was shaking. They were getting ready to blow out the doors on I guess the engineering, and
no,
she
the
was
cargo
shaking,
bay.
and he put his hand on her hand. Yeah, and I'm sorry, cargo bay,
See,
and
it's hard.
they were
Yeah.
uh, see, yeah, they look the same. Anyway, he consoled her a little bit by putting his hand on there and speaking to her to calm her down.
Yeah,
So see,
I thought it was
even he's
nice.
melting down. That blue guy, that white blue
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah. Kind of a very pale blue, a whiter shade of pale. How
Yeah,
about
very
that?
pale.
No, we can't afford the rights for that
Yeah,
either. So please, nobody. All right. Then our
yeah, yeah,
third thing we've got
yeah.
going on here is we have Una being
Hmm.
injured during that initial attack by the Gorn, and she's in sick
Yep,
bay, and they really can't do much for her because all their medical supplies were destroyed in the initial attack, and the replicators are down, so they can't replicate anything to help out. So Nurse
yep.
Chapel and Mbenga are going to have to just perform that primitive surgery with a scalpel and a needle and thread.
Ugh,
Bones would just be like going, this is I can't do this. This is
these
insane.
medieval tools. Yeah, that's right.
And you get the
Yeah,
feeling that
actually,
Chapel was
she
like,
looked like
sure, I can
she
do
was.
this.
She looks like she was. Una was looked like she was injured pretty well too. I thought. I mean, it didn't look good where it was bleeding out.
Yeah. Now we don't really have any indication of what the physiology of Illyrians is compared to the physiology of humans. And
Yeah.
genetically modified Illyrian, which Una is, how extensive is that? Because at the end of the episode, we have her hooked up to Mbenga, who's giving her plasma. So she's obviously able to accept human plasma,
Right.
unless
Say,
it's
Una,
going
it
to.
was a lucky thing that shrapnel missed all 6 of your hearts.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I was thinking. It's like, well, those look like to be really substantial wounds in a human, but maybe the parts aren't all in the same
Yeah,
places. But if they aren't in the same
maybe
places,
not.
I would think Starfleet would have noticed a little bit sooner that she really wasn't human.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah.
all right. What else we got? What else do we? Oh, we get everybody gets something to do in this episode, even if it's a little bit. We have
Hmm.
Kyle even in this episode. Um,
Yeah.
he is at the
He's been
beginning of the
busy.
episode. He's just doing some work, and a fellow uh, member of the crew walks by, and they kind of nod acknowledgement that they know each other, kind of just in passing. And then when they're about to close the bulkheads because the lower decks, quick, somebody tell Boimler and everyone to get out of there, that they're gonna have
That's
to
right.
close the bulkheads. These two run into each other again, and Kyle is trying to save this crewman from getting trapped behind the bulkheads, but he just can't move fast enough, and he shoves Kyle through the bulkhead, and it closes on him, and he perishes. So I don't think he's got like two lines of dialogue, but he's got a beat in this thing because
Yeah.
that's one of the seven crew members that they lose uh, on the ship is this incident that just happens here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
They're
nice to
actually
see
giving
everybody
Kyle a
again.
good bit. Yeah, it's giving Kyle a good bit to do in these few episodes we've seen so far.
And I think one of my favorite things in this episode, I've got it on the beat board here, is when they've gone into the disk orbiting the black hole,
The black hole. Hmm.
and Pike says, you know, open the cargo bay or vent the cargo bay, Spock has to reach over to one of those giant buttons and push it.
Yeah,
They
little
have this
gummies,
shot.
gummy buttons.
Well, if you, Craig, you can scroll down to it's near the bottom. You can see the image of it. But I mean, they look
Yeah.
like Duplos. I mean, they're huge buttons. I mean, they are very clearly big old buttons. And he's got to press one of those, which I
It's
thought
like he
was
was it's like he was counting his Halloween candy on the console and left the left the candy out.
but I absolutely loved it that to see the physical buttons in there, and they make a nice compromise because as we talked about before, you've got
Mhm.
stuff that's just screens, and you've got other things going
Yes.
on, but you still have those buttons which should be there, and they are there.
You
They
know,
should be there because it just feels
this
right that they're
this
there.
bridge is this bridge is beautiful. Again, those buttons you were talking about. Um, was it they showed Uhura's station? It's kind of circular, and it had it evoked that kind of stylistic 60ish, like classic and modern at the same time. I think they really nailed this ship. I love it.
Well, they also have. I don't think you see it all that often, but it was in this episode when they're uh, Pike goes over to Spock, and we've seen Spock look into the little view thing that they always had in the original series that you look
Yeah.
down into that little viewing thing. But the moire pattern, the circular moire pattern, is just to the left of that. It's just circling. It's
Hmm.
just making that Green Hornet type of the circular thing. It serves no other purpose than to just be that thing, but it's there. It's there anyway.
Hey Spock, what does this do? It
Yeah.
swirls. That's right.
Now, do you feel like the explanation of how the Enterprise fooled the Gorn was explained well enough? I feel like this is almost the second this is the second time where I feel like that little thing at the end that they're doing, just like when Spock was taking the shuttle over the surface and trying to melt the ice to
Oh
divert
yeah.
the course of the
Hmm.
comet, that the Pike maneuver, I it's hard for me to tell. It just didn't seem like they tried, and maybe they did explain it well enough. I don't know that anybody who is in the live chat there, if they have feelings about whether or not they just watching the episode, did they understand what the Enterprise was doing and how that was going to get them away from the Gorn?
Yeah.
Because as I
Well, I see
understand
what
it,
they're.
making
I see what they're. Yeah, I mean, I understand it. I think the one thing I came away from this is okay. I like the idea they were going to blow something up, so to fake their own destruction, and the Gorn would lose interest and leave. Okay, and then
right,
they could come out. That would be great if they had an hour after the explosion. Then they could come out because the Gorn just went. Oh, that's it. We're out of here.
yeah.
It was that
Well,
quick.
I
Um,
suppose if you assume that they're blown up, it's like, well, we don't really want to hang around the edge of a black hole. Thank you very much. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, well, there's that too, but I just seem like the Enterprise was betting on the Gorn leaving almost immediately to give them enough so they could get out because
Right,
the the state of the ship they couldn't have stayed in there much longer, to wait
right,
for them to leave.
right.
So yeah,
So as I
that was
understand,
the iffy part for me. I get what they were doing. Yeah.
right. So my understanding of it is the trick they were using, the full Pike maneuver, was that
Hmm.
because of the redshift, the Gorn looking at the event from outside the disk would see the Enterprise standing still, even though the Enterprise was still moving, because the light
Yeah.
coming out was slowed down to the point where it virtually looked like the thing was not moving. So
Right.
when that happened, that's when they jettisoned the air filter, the giant air filter unit, to explode. So the explosion takes place where it appears the Enterprise still is, even though the Enterprise is no longer there. It is someplace else.
Right.
So the appearance is that the thing happened there. Of course, that would also take time to get to them. And I
Yes.
suppose if it took time to get to them, then they would have seen the Enterprise image moving away from that before that explosion took place.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Well, maybe the explosion just kind of masked that a little bit. I don't know.
yeah, but that to me is
I'll be honest
that's
with
how
you.
as I understand it is that because the whole purpose of saying that it appears as if we're standing still was to say they will think we are in position X, and that's where the explosion will take place, but
Mhm.
we're actually in position
Yeah.
Y, far away from that.
Yeah.
And then Lon, being the cheerful person that she is, says, "Well, what about next time?" To which Pike goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
really?
There
Already?
you go. Always looking for the next job. Yeah.
Always look at the bright side of life there,
Well, she
Lon."
does have a history with Gorn, so
She
yeah, she has a
does, and I
history with
understand her
Gorn. She didn't
concern.
want to see,
I
she must be prepared. Yeah.
I do understand that.
Hey, by the way, I was when you were just talking about the whole did they explain that well? I had trouble relating to it because, my air filters are cardboard and they generally don't combust. So I had
Well,
trouble
if you touch them
believing
and
the
they're
whole
really, really
thing.
hot, then that's a problem as well. And you don't wanna do
Yeah.
to take your filter out, that burnt my
Yeah.
hand.
I know, right? Yeah.
First, check to make sure that it's cold. Important
That's right.
safety tip. It looks like she was lifting out a giant neon light, kind of, those clamps that hold something in
It did
place
look
like
like
that.
that.
Very
Yeah.
interesting. It
Exactly.
should have been one
That's
of those
exactly what it looks
they
like.
used to have in, Star Trek and other things with, like, those red l neon lights that just made a circle around like that. She should have been taking them
Yeah,
out of
those
that.
one it's got those tubes and they yeah, that's been in every
Yep.
sci-fi movie and TV show. Yeah, I forget what they call that. Yeah.
Alright, so it's time to rate, unless you have other thoughts on Memento Mori.
No, I don't really have any more. No, let's go. Let's do it. How many air filters
Alright.
do we got?
Ooh, air filters. Okay, let's see. So on a scale of 1 to 10 air filters, the big kind, of course, we're not talking about your AP350 air filters. Understand here. This is what we're talking about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
I'm gonna give this one a 9. A 9 air filters.
Oh.
I felt like there there were some problems with it, so I couldn't quite get myself to a 10, and I don't know if it would be a 9.5 because I'm not sure how close that is to 10. I mean, I should know, it's my rating, but uh, I feel like it's hovering between a
It's
9 and
half
a
a point.
9.5.
Yeah.
I know it makes a difference. It makes a
Okay.
difference.
Wow.
I'm gonna go
It does.
9.5 because I feel like there were some issues just kind of why did the Gorn again it only attack the gangway,
Hmm.
things like that. But other
Well,
than that,
yeah. Yeah.
what about
Um,
you?
I will give it. I'm gonna give it a solid 9. Uh, yeah, it wasn't 100% perfect, but I'm gonna tell you, coming out of the gate on a first season on Star Trek, they're really nailing it. And I thought this was fun to watch. They kind of kept you going and go, oh, there's another problem we got to overcome, and and they were working towards, and like you said, every 2 steps forward, they always ended up with a step back, and until they worked it out. I super enjoyed this, and I think it's a solid 9
Very good, very good.
air filters.
Yeah, I definitely agree that um, it's kind of hard to imagine that we're talking about episode 4 of season 1, and we already
Yeah.
granted we have a leg up in that we are familiar with Spock, and we're familiar with Uhura, and we're somewhat familiar with Pike and number 1. But even so, I feel like we're getting up to speed on a lot of these characters, the way they're using them rather quickly, and they are
Yeah.
utilizing pretty much everyone, which is what you want.
Yep.
You don't want to have,
Yeah.
oh, this is the season where Sulu just sits at the console. No, no, you want to have everybody
Well,
doing something.
also, I think, yeah, I think a good balance is you don't have to use everybody in every episode. However, we only have 10 episodes, so but I w- like in like TOS when there was a lot more or any other TNG, there may be a core 3 or 4 characters, maybe less on this episode. Then maybe some other ones over here on this next episode, and gives everybody time to breathe. But having everybody in busy doing something, I think they've done a good job, especially in that last one.
The thing I think they're struggling with is they're struggling with what to. I just feel like they're struggling what to do with Ortegas. That I felt like
Oh,
some of her lines in this episode were lines to say, "Hey, I'm here."
hmm
In other words, that she's involved in the conversation, that she's on the bridge. But sometimes even Pike
yeah.
was like, "Do you really need to say into the giant gas ball of death?"
he
When we
he gave her a little side eye, didn't he? He was like, "What?"
right, and
Yeah.
then she makes a comment
Hey,
later, and Pike looks to Lon saying, "Okay, your job is to like take care of that," and so she has to
hmm
address it.
well, I do like her personality, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of her. And I'm hoping that they do a couple of stories where she's more in the focus. We learn
Hmm.
a little more about
Hmm.
her.
Right.
But I think she's a good addition to the cast, at least from what I can see. But need to see some
Yeah,
more.
I definitely think she's a good addition to the cast. I think they're just struggling a bit to figure out how she fits into the
hmm
dynamic on the bridge of what we know.
hmm
Obviously, we're going to center an awful lot on number one and Spock and Pike, but we need to have the other people involved. And Uhura, pretty obvious, dealing with communications and languages and things like that.
Yep.
But how are we fitting in Ortegas into the conversation? Now, there are times when it's easy, we need to do this maneuver. Oh, I've been practicing for this, and this is now we're talking. Okay.
Yeah.
Other times it felt forced, like I don't know, what would she say something here? I'm not sure.
Right.
But yes, if we have an episode that centers on the character, then yes, I think that would be a big help. All right,
Yep.
let's move on to our second
All right.
episode then. And our second
All right.
episode,
So this is.
go
Oh, you
ahead.
want to read it? Go ahead.
No, you go right ahead.
Oh, so all right. Season 1, episode 5, Spock Amok, written by Alonzo Myers and Robin Weiserman. This is the second Strange New World script by Henry Alonzo, who also serves as an executive producer, on the show. It is the first Trek script by Robin Weiserman, who serves as a co-producer on Strange New Worlds. It was directed by Rachel Leiterman, first time directing Star Trek, but her list of credits include working on New Amsterdam, The Good Doctor, and The Walking Dead: World Beyond. So here's the quick synopsis. I don't know why I said it like Sean
Synopsis.
Connery. T'Pring
Money penny.
visits Spock while what T'Pring sounds like. Amazon should be selling it as a door replacement,
No,
doorbell
stop that.
replacement.
No, you stop that right now. You stop that right
It's just so T'Pring visits Spock while the Enterprise is undergoing repairs after its encounter with the Gorn. The resulting comedy of errors threatens two crucial negotiations. Elsewhere, Number One and Lieutenant Noonien Singh learn of the existence of a secret list shared by junior officers on board the ship.
So this I thought was very interesting counter programming to last week's to the previous episode, to
hmm
this intense, essentially submarine drama, classic Trek
Yeah.
in one sense, very much like the first encounter with the Romulans, that type of thing, and also shades of Star Trek 6, very much this kind of
hmm
submarine battle thing going on. And then you go to the completely other extreme that Trek goes to, which is just kind of like,
Right.
we're going to have some fun this week. It's not going to be something
Yes.
that's earth shattering. It's going to be about tribbles. It's going to be something a little sillier this time.
Yeah.
And the silly thing this
Well,
time around, as
I
we
thought it
alluded
was
to
a great.
before, is Freaky Friday.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, yeah, Freaky Friday. Well, to your point, I loved every bit about this show because it was fun. It was a nice diversion from any heavy-handed stories, and actually, I came away after watching this thinking, how can we go back to Discovery after this? Because every episode is super heavy on Discovery. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because we don't know what the next season is going to be like. I mean, now that
yeah,
the latest threat has been taken care of, we don't know. I mean, one presumes they start fresh in the writers' room every season, and just as we talked about, even though the topic is Trek, but we briefly mentioned the Orville. The Orville clearly has evolved over time, and I
yes,
think every show
yep,
does evolve one way or the other, whether it's up or down, or just kind of this lateral move to some other tone. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next season. Same thing with Picard. What will happen that next time? But
yeah,
um, yeah, I think it is. I, I'm looking more forward to Prodigy and Lower Decks returning. Um, but
yeah,
I'm ever
right.
hopeful that it's not that I it's not that I hate Discovery. I'm just hopeful that it lives up to all the potential that it has. And I feel like sometimes they struggle.
That's true.
And we've talked about that
Yeah.
before, that sometimes they just don't have enough story, and it makes it difficult to deal with.
Mhm.
All right, but in this
Yes.
in this episode, we knew we were in for a treat from the very first scene, because we find ourselves on Vulcan in a very familiar location, and it appears as if
Slightly familiar.
Spock and T'Pring are about to get married, and we're going scratching our heads, going, "Well,
Mhm.
this can't be right, because that's not going to happen for a while yet." And
Yeah,
then
they haven't
suddenly,
chosen any of the flowers or arrangements for
I
the
know
wedding
where
yet.
they registered anyway. I don't have any idea.
At Vulcan
So
Mart.
we 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 suddenly have T'Pring say, "Spock, your ears." We're thinking, what is she talking about? And we pull
Yeah.
back, and not Anson, Ethan Peck forgot his makeup. He has no pointed ears.
It was
He's got the
it was
sideburns going,
he
but
didn't even have the eyebrows. He is nothing except for the sideburns.
so think, what? And then she calls Calafi, and the champion she chooses is Spock. And what? And then the music starts.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Not a parody of, not a homage to. No, the music from
Yes, right.
the Muck Time. It just launches full out, and we have this battle with the Lorpas, and it's just insane. It's like, what has happened? Because you're coming off of a week where they're like battling for their lives, and now it's like, I don't even understand what's going on here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then Bobby wakes up in the shower because it's a dream that
Yeah.
Spock is having,
Right. I mean, nobody got killed.
which I
Actually,
appreciate.
I thought the dream sequence. Huh? Go
Yeah, go
ahead.
ahead.
I think we got a little lag going on here.
I think so too. I think we do.
Yeah.
But I no, I was going to say that
I was gonna
I
say.
appreciated the fact. Oh goodness gracious, that I do like the fact that it wasn't. I often find in dream sequences everything stays the same, and that's not the way dreams are. Dreams don't, like the wall that was here 3 seconds ago was now like a fish tank or something. It just things don't make that kind of sense. I did like the fact that when we pull back and Spock no longer has the ears, that he's now wearing his Starfleet uniform, and he wasn't 2 seconds ago. And the other Spock is now wearing that outfit, which I thought
Yeah.
that was great. There's just like, if you blink, you don't notice that it has happened. All of a sudden, it's wait a minute. That easy way to distinguish the two characters, no matter what's going on, and it happens without you even noticing that it happened.
Yeah. I thought this was a brilliant dream sequence because obviously, Spock's always had that human Vulcan tug of war in his head, and there it is. And we saw it. And I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that I was thinking about that the Spock that Ethan is playing right now, he's clearly making the conscious decision that this is that version of Spock who is really struggling with all of this. I mean, really struggling with all of it, and is going heavy-handedly most of the time into trying to be as Vulcan as possible to take that route. This is a long ways away from the Spock we finally end up with, those many years later, where he's come to complete terms with, I'm human and I am Vulcan, and I use that to my advantage, and I, do whatever I want to do because I'm completely comfortable with it. This is somebody who is definitely not comfortable with it, who is struggling with it, and is, whether or not they're making the best choices, it's even hard to tell. That they're clearly
especially
trying
decorating choices.
Yeah, because you want to put those two glasses this place instead of that place.
I like that whole comment. She goes, "The the room they've given you looks too human." It says, "I'm redecorating."
Yeah, it's a work in
time.
progress.
We haven't stopped by Space Station IKEA.
We will get.
We haven't stopped by IKEA 5 yet. Yeah.
Yes. So T'Pring is there, and of course she says, "Well, we got interrupted when we were last together, but now I've put aside all the business that I have to do. Have somebody with me to take care of this. I have to meeting with this person that we're trying to bring in for reindoctrination into logic, but they can handle it. I'm here for you, Spock." And Spock says, "I'm here for you, but first I got to go to this meeting, and then I got to go to." And then the meeting took longer because they wanted to do negotiations, and you can just see things spiraling out of control again. And again, that kind of meshes with where we were in Amok Time, that this feeling that T'Pring had that Spock was never going to be around. It's oddly enough not the way we end the episode. It's like we pull back from that. So maybe we pull back from it to get pushed further into it later on. I'm not sure. But it's making sense in that context. But yeah, they're clearly having some issues back and forth, and then Spock is inspired by Nurse Chapel to come up with this brilliant plan that she says, "Oh, that wasn't my idea. Don't pin that on me. You made your own mess with this one."
Yeah, it's not on me.
To switch souls. Now, I don't understand what the intent was, because the ceremony is very short, at least as it was presented. And then they broke
think it's kind of like I think what they're trying to do is a little bit of a mind meld kind of thing, and they were just trying to connect with one another in that
right.
little,
but if they're trying to have
and then it got
if they're trying to share the experiences like that, if they're trying to share the experiences, it seemed like it was like, wow, they get really fast download speeds, because that that was very quick.
Yeah.
but it goes horribly wrong, and we never get an explanation of why it went horribly wrong. We kind of Mbenga implies why he thinks it went horribly wrong, but we don't really know
Right.
for sure. And they're trapped now. Trapped. They're in each other's bodies at that point, and hijinks ensue.
Well, I'm
And
okay with not knowing every detail. I'm
yeah,
okay with that. I can suspend
yeah.
belief a little bit.
I mean, you buy into the Contra thing to begin with, you're all set. But yeah, Pike comes
Yeah.
in and
But
says,
when they
I need Spock." Yeah, well, funny
yeah,
story, Captain.
yeah. Just a minute ago, actually, you know what? These two did such a good job acting as each other and then having to act as the other one again.
Mhm.
They went
Yeah.
too deep on the which I thought they did a great job. And then Spot get out of town. You're not in town.
I'm not in a town. Yes. Uh, well, as to Pring, it's just going, what are you talking about? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I know that they clearly tried to exaggerate or emphasize early in the episode the way to
Mhm.
Pring would stand and the way Spock would stand, so
Mhm.
that when they switched, you would have those outside attributes reflected correctly.
Yeah.
What I thought was also funny though is that when they're explaining the situation to Pike and they're bouncing off each other, and it doesn't sound any different than any other Vulcan. And Pike goes, "Well, clearly I can tell the difference, now that you pointed out to me. It's
Yeah.
obvious." It was like,
Right.
You
Right.
sound like two Vulcans babbling on about something."
Trying to cover up. Yeah. Hey, and hijinks ensued. So there you go.
Yeah, there were hijinks. Whether or not they wanted hijinks, there were hijinks indeed.
Yeah. That's funny.
And we have another race that comes in here this time. This one, our alien of the week, has faces that are striped and bald heads, because bald heads is usually a thing you would have with your Star Trek aliens. And the
Yeah.
the
Actually, the makeup was great.
Rongovians.
I thought
Mhm.
it looked very convincing. Didn't when you say?
Yeah, I don't. I think I looked up who the actor was, and again, it wasn't somebody that I was familiar with offhand by the name. I didn't look up their IMDb credit to see if I recognized them by face, but that the lead negotiator sounded familiar. I just couldn't place who that might be. But we see them
You know what?
first of
When he
all.
walked
Yeah.
in, when they
Hmm.
walked in and they were in the door before they really said much, I thought it was Armin Sherman. I was like, "Oh my god, they got Armin in there some new makeup," because it looks kind of like him. Briefly, the shorter guy.
Hmm. But no, I don't. It's definitely not
Yeah. Anyway,
him. But
it's
yeah, we
not.
see them.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, but for a moment, I was like, "Is that Armin Sherman?" Oh my gosh, but it wasn't.
So we see them arguing with the Tellarites, which who wouldn't?
Hmm.
Because that's kind of what they do. Is they just argue about things,
It's their modus
and then
operandi.
we see them very, very friendly to Pike, and if as well as everybody who's in this negotiation thinks, oh look, they didn't hit it off with the Tellarites because they're a little hot headed, but we're being very reasonable about all this, and we're just having a slight conversation, and look, we're shaking hands, and he's laughing, and it's all wonderful.
Hmm.
And then April comes in and says, they no, they didn't. No, they don't know. It did not go well. It did not go well. What do you mean it didn't go well? And
Yeah.
April's is surprised by it himself because saying, I don't know. I was in the same room. I saw the same thing you did. I have no idea. But now they
Yeah.
want to talk to Spock instead. Now going back and watching the episode, it's interesting because when they first walk into the room, they have the conversation that says everything that everybody in that room should have picked up on. He asks questions about, well, you have all these different people in the Federation. How do you decide who is in charge. And Pike
Yeah.
explains how they vote and so forth and so on. Uh, and he said everybody's voice matters. He says, and we listen to people. And he said, and the Govian says, we too listen. Empathy is a hallmark of our people. Few understand that. So right there,
Right.
that is what
Yep.
we have to take an hour for everybody to figure out, that they're doing everything to seem like they're getting inside of your head to understand how you work. You like to yell, so we will be yelling and being argumentative. You like to be friendly.
Right.
We will be friendly. You like
Yeah.
to be
Leave it to
logical.
old
We will be
Pike.
logical. We will do these
Yeah.
things,
Leave it to
but
old Pike to figure that out.
yeah, at the core of it, we're trying to empathize with you. Can you do a little bit the other way around? And yeah, it takes kind of April being caught completely off guard by how honest, Pike is being about, well, you shouldn't join the
He was like, "Hey,
Federation
whoa,
because
whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you saying?"
yeah,
Yeah.
whoa. I'm surprised he didn't just like say, oh, could we have a 5-minute break and then we'll be back? And he's not feeling too well right now.
Yeah. He was ready for
Yeah,
Pike,
because
Pike to say, "You know what? Yeah, this isn't for you," and walk out.
he pretty much lays it on the line saying, we're not interested in, let's face it, at this point, we're not interested in you for your culture. We don't know anything about you. You're very strategically placed. That's why we're interested in you. And yeah, we'll come along and defend you if there's some problem, but chances are it's a problem we caused because of something. And yeah, we just got finished fighting
Because that's what
the
we do.
Klingons. Yeah, we got finished fighting the Klingons, and the
Yeah.
Romulans are probably waiting to come at us next. So that we'll be thrown into the thick of that as well. And
Yep.
it was like the Quat Malat, this like absolute candor going, here's the deal. Here's exactly what the reality is of the situation. And use that to decide what it is you want to do. We're not with no pleasantries, just kind of flat out, this is the way it is. And I think that took them enough by surprise. They went, hey, we're Team Federation now. We got I don't know, do
Yeah.
they have all the flags on board just in case? Like, were they gonna, if they left, were they gonna have like a Klingon flag pop up on the solar sail if they said, nah, forget you guys.
That's just what they need. Yeah. Start
So,
seeing a
but it
Romulan flag go up as they leave.
yeah. It was an interesting take, and I did like that I think we as the audience arrived at the same place that April and Uhura and at first Pike arrived at, which was, well,
Mm-hmm.
they're good at kind of like adapting themselves to whoever they're talking to, kind of mimicking that and kind of like doing that to communicate. And I
Yep.
think we as the clever audience had thought the same thing. Oh, look at that. They're cleverly how they're doing this when they're talking with Pike. And then we see them be very logical because even pointed out, aren't they being kind of Vulcan-y right now? When they're having this negotiation. So we all arrive at point X, but we have to go beyond that to get to what the actual answer is to it. So good on
Yeah.
Pike for that one.
Yeah. I thought that
We
worked
get
out really well.
to find out that apparently Nurse Chapel is looking for love in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
Just kind of just trying to hook up and have a good time, and this episode ends in a weird place for her because it appears at the end of it we're getting a little bit more of that Nurse Chapel kind of has this thing for Spock. We had that first
Oh
little
yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
had that first little thing in the early on that Uhura noticed. Then we have Spock, pulling one on Chapel saying, "Oh, what are friends for? Let me, that was a joke, Spock. Yes, I know."
Yeah.
It,
I like that. I like that little exchange where he said, "Oh, I'm just." She said, "I'm just teasing." yes, humans are easy to tease, just like Vulcans, and
Mhm.
because he got her back. I thought it was cute.
So at the end of the episode, Ortegas and Chapel are having the conversation, and maybe you should be honest in your next relationship because things don't really work out for you with stuff, Chapel. Christine,
Right.
and she says, "Well, it'd have to be the right person," and then you get this kind of this glimmer of like, "I think I know who the right person is," and we're thinking, "Oh no, don't go there. That will not end
Yeah.
well. Don't no.
Yep.
That will only bring you heartache. Don't don't go there." But it does.
Yeah. Doctor
This
and
episode,
Vega is spoken for. I'm
yeah,
kidding.
it did bring up one question in my mind though about when the first appearance of T'Pring, only Pike sees her because Pike is calling Spock to come back to the
Right.
Enterprise because they're leaving talk. So at that point, we're thinking, okay, well, sure, Pike knows who T'Pring is, but Pike isn't on board when a muck
Yep.
time happens. Ba 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 ba. Well,
Hmm.
Christine is there when Mbenga is working on the two of them and what their problem was in this whole relationship. Yet, isn't Chapel surprised to find out that, oh, this is my betrothed, this is my wife? Essentially, that when in a muck time, I remember that I think it was a
Yeah.
horror that's saying, "Oh, she's lovely, Mr. Spock. Who is she?" And I can't remember if Chapel was on the bridge or not at that point, but it, it seems like the more T'Pring is involved, the harder it is to kind of have people not know what's going on later on down the
Right.
line. But I'd have to
Oh
look
yeah.
at
Oh yeah. Oh, you're talking about in TOS.
right because now Kirk can be surprised because Kirk was not here for any of this. McCoy as well.
Well, not
Uhura,
till next season.
yeah, Uhura not so. I mean, Uhura. Uh, Now she's not there on the ship when this stuff is happening, so theoretically she's not seeing T'Pring, I think. So when she asks in TOS, who is that? Okay, she doesn't know because she didn't see her, and Spock obviously doesn't do a lot of talking about himself. But
Hmm.
I don't know. Just we start to get it. It becomes harder to have that distinction, but have it be a surprise that T'Pring is his betrothed in that episode.
Right.
And we get to see Chapel whack Spock across the forehead. You dummy.
I like his reaction. He didn't really do anything. He's like, "What just happened?"
Yeah, I should
Yeah.
have seen that coming.
Yeah.
Um, yes, you should have. The
Yeah.
other side story we've got going here is we've got this hijinks going on with Una and Nal.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lon, not Nal, Lon. When they are just saying it's nice to have the empty ship, but then they find about Enterprise Bingo,
Yeah. They started checking the boxes off.
which we had heard reference to, and they in the previously on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, they do um, mention Enterprise Bingo, so it's nice to have that callback to this thing to say, oh, that's a little payoff to that little comment. Because I thought to myself, well, what is Enterprise Bingo? And
Yeah.
now we get to find out what it is.
That's
Matter of
right.
fact, I today got a chance to help out Memory Alpha a little bit with
You did?
Enterprise Bingo. I did because they had put up the list of what the tasks were in Enterprise Bingo,
Right.
and they some of them were not quite right. And I understood that because the first time that you see the list, it's when Lon shows it to Una, and they're in
Little
the
pad.
bar, the restaurant, and showing the pad, and we see the entire list. It's kind of fuzzy. So I think the person was doing it off of that screenshot.
Oh, and what did they
But
have wrong?
Uh, well, they had things like they said turbo lift 2 floor, something like a skip challenge, and it's the turbo lift 2 floor shout challenge because the concept is, and we see Una and
Oh,
Lon
trying
do
to,
this. They
yeah.
get on the turbo lift, and in the count of 3, they both yell at a destination and see which one the turbo lift recognizes as where they're supposed to be going.
I know that was funny. I could totally see doing that with somebody.
They, very, very straight. So, but then, so the very first, because you have to do the challenges in order, apparently,
Hmm.
as part of this. The first challenge they do is to use the transporter, and they use the medical transporter. So I'm hoping that Mabenga's
I
kid
know,
is
right?
okay.
Yeah, they
And
pushed her
Una
out of the
should know
buffer.
better. I mean, for crying out loud.
They pushed his
Um,
daughter out of the buffer.
but one has to assume that she's in a safe buffer because you would have to use that transport for something else. So
Yeah,
you can still use it.
she's
But
in she's in non-volatile memory.
yeah, the when they use the transporter to reflavor, and that is actually the challenge, use the transporter to reflavor gum.
Yeah.
So she's chewing spearmint gum. The flavor goes away. She transports out and back again, and it's spearmint again.
Yeah.
And Una says, yes. Like she's somehow excited by this. And she goes to check it off on the list. We get a much closer view of the list, and I could read it much better from there. And that's how I
Oh, I
got that.
see. I see what you're talking
But
about.
interesting little piece of, did you notice that when she clicked the button, it was playing Star Trek music? Just go back and listen. It's playing the
I
Star
might have to
Trek
go back and
theme
yeah.
when she presses that button.
Huh.
So
Okay.
I thought, okay, you're allowed one, and that was it. My rule is you're always allowed one. One time you can go to the theme because randomly it's notes. So even if they don't know it's their theme, you can use it once, and that's okay because
Yeah.
it could be a thing, but you can't like use it a lot. Now, if every time you use the pad and it makes that sound, okay, then it always makes that sound. But if it doesn't always make that
Yeah.
sound, that was your one shot. You had one shot and you used it on the Enterprise bingo. It's done
Yeah.
now.
You blew it. Yeah.
Uh, speaking of callbacks and shout outs, did you notice that Pike was wearing a version of the Kirk
Wait.
wraparound tunic?
You're you're asking me if I noticed? Yes, of course I noticed. I didn't even have to see the whole shirt. I just saw the top part and went, "He's wearing that wraparound." What's funny is the design of it was slightly different. It's like it had a different material on the shoulders. Well, now, and I don't remember
I,
Kirk's being like that, but
yeah, I didn't get the sense that it was excuse me, it's supposed to be cloth. It almost looked like it was supposed to be leather. But
yeah, pleather.
yeah, well, yes, at this point, probably that would be indeed the case. But
Well, they call it leather now because it's replicated leather.
ah, I'd rather have pleather. Thank you very much.
But yeah, it
But
was
yeah, I
interesting. I
think
was like, wow, they went there. It's like, okay.
yeah, so it's like definitely, yeah. So expect everybody to digging out their tunics and going, hey, I can wear this. It's stylish again. Look, Pike has one too.
Yeah, you know what this means? Cosplayers are ramping up already.
They are. Oh my goodness, they are. Larry Nemechek was at a convention. Uh, I think it was like a week or two into Strange New Worlds, and
Hmm.
he took pictures of people, a couple that had come there, and they had. He said it wasn't perfect, but it was close enough, especially after being on for 2 weeks. They were cosplaying as Pike and Chapel. So she had the one piece
Oh,
medical
white.
uniform on,
Yeah.
had the wig, he had the uniform, had the hair, you know. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I think this year's con season, and we'll find out at Dragon Con, is going to be full of a lot of new costumes, a whole lot of new
Yeah.
costumes.
Well, I did like the green shirt for what it's worth. Did they ever say when? Because I remember seeing an article floating around about the green one that Kirk wore, but nobody else wore on the ship. Is it just like a captain's
Yeah,
privilege?
It's a
Kind of.
captain's thing.
Okay.
And I was letting someone know, someone who had just started watching TOS. This was like a couple of months ago.
Hmm.
Um, they said, "So why is Kirk's uniform yellow, but when he wears that other one, and then I figured out quickly he meant the
The
tunic,
green.
it's green." And they
Yeah.
said because they were both green, and so I'm assuming you know this story, Craig, that the three colors for the uniforms were red, green, and blue. Get it?
Right.
RGB.
Yep.
But the fabric that they used for the main uniforms photographed yellow. So the color became yellow. So that then became canon that it's yellow, blue, and red.
Right.
However,
Yeah.
that wraparound tunic, not the same material. So when they showed it, when they filmed it, it filmed green like all those uniforms were supposed to look.
Right. Yeah.
And his was green.
There you go. I think Davy Sitter has it right. The fat shirt.
Uh well, with Bill, that covers a wide. Oh no, that's shouldn't say it that way. I shouldn't say it that
I
way.
see what you did there.
Bad, bad, bad me, bad me.
All right. I think we need to start wrapping it up. I think we're going a little long.
Okay, we will wrap up indeed. So we now have to give our. Let's see, what do we use for this one? How about what do you got for a rating system on here? How about phaser stuns?
There you go. Phaser stones. All right.
Ouch, ouch! That really hurt.
Yeah. It stings. You let me go first.
You go first.
Again, I love this episode. It was nothing like any Star Trek we've had in the last however many years. It's been great. I think it's a nice diversion, and we got to see some character building. I'm giving it 9.5 phaser burns.
Ooh, wow. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Let's see. So Enterprise Bingo is 11, so you can't really use it as a scale.
No.
So I'm gonna go with spearmint gum. I think for me,
Oh, okay.
sticks of spearmint gum, with its flavor already. Well, it's re-engineered. It's retransported flavor. I'm gonna give it the same rating I gave the last episode of a 9.5 because I felt like this was as good, and the best part was it was so different
Yes.
than the last episode. So different from it. I tweeted that out today that these are 180 degrees from each other, and yet they're both Trek. It's just like it was great
Yeah.
to have it.
Well, I agree with you, and like I said, it's different from any of the Trek we've had in the past. What? How long has Discovery been going on? 4 years? 5 years?
Well, I mean, you can make the argument that Lower Decks is
Well,
this kind of episode every
okay.
single week, but
Good point. Good point. I wasn't thinking about Lower Days. You're right, but yes, this was a great episode. I really enjoyed it. I do like these kind of tangent episodes where they do something else and then come back in the fold and do something else. I think it's
mhm.
great. So
And I also think that this was for the people that know the term, and if not, quickly explain it. I think it was a bottle episode for
yeah,
them,
right.
because you you have X amount of money you can spend on effects and your budget. And if you want to do something really spectacular, sometimes that means some other episode has to cut back. And the way you do it is by doing an episode that basically uses existing sets, minimum number of special effects possible, and it just helps take that money and move it
Hmm.
someplace else. And I
And you
felt
know
like this
what?
one was that.
And if the story is good enough, and this was, I think T'Pring and Spock nailed it. Acting as each other, and between the Rovians that wanted to come into Starfleet, the whole thing. I think that's all you need. Sometimes that's all you need. Good
Mhm.
story. Good story.
You just need some quadritriticalion and you're all set.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, time to head over to our warp speed roundtable.
All right.
So last time around, we asked, are you team landing party or hashtag team away team? Boy, that's just really a hard
Team
one to
away team.
say.
Yeah.
Team away team. We got a reply from listener Diane, who gave her thoughts on the subject. And she said Webster's and other dictionaries define landing party as a detachment of a ship's company organized for emergency or ceremonial duties ashore.
Hmm.
The only reference to away team is a team playing away from its home ground,
As opposed to the
or
home team.
or a term from Star Trek.
Yeah.
So
Well,
she's also team landing party. So I think
okay.
that's like everybody so far has been team landing party.
Yeah, it just sounds logical. See what I
It's a
did there?
party. Who
Yeah.
doesn't like a party? Come
That's right.
on. It's a
Party.
party. All right. This
Rock
week
out with your
around,
Spock out. Yay.
go to that, break out your choo choo t-shirt, or your choo 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 if you're really hip.
That's right.
All right, but this time around we have a poser for you that involves our friends the Gorn, because we have the Gorner back, baby. And when I thought about it, the Gorn really have never been gone. For those of you watching the live stream here, I'm going to try to move myself out of the way a bit for a second. I have 5 different permutations of the Gorn from different iterations of Star Trek here. We've got tiny on the screen is a Gorn from Lower Decks. We have next a Gorn, which looks very lizard-like,
Yep.
and almost like a Godzilla-ish kind of bizarre thing, from the video game for Star Trek, the one that was set in the Kelvinverse. Next, I have the TOS Gorn, classic
Mhm.
Gorn. Behind my head here, we have a Gorn. Got to watch out for him. He's,
Hey, he
he's
looks like
behind
the
me.
he looks like the Spuds McKenzie Gorn.
Yeah, he's got a brewski in his hands. So that is the Gorn from the animated series.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the Gorn, looking very much like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
Gorn from Enterprise, when they had the Mirror Universe appearance of the Gorn.
Yeah.
So my question is, I don't know if we're going to see the Gorn on Strange New Worlds, because again, how far do you push that?
Yeah.
But if we were to see them, would you want to see one of these versions of the Gorn, or would you like to see something completely different?
You go first. What do you think?
All right. I'm thinking that what I would like to do is I would like to see classic Gorn, modified outfit. If you're going to do a person in a suit, but probably be better working as a CGI to make them much more fluid and not have the restrictions that you might have in a costume.
Right.
And having a very fast moving version of this Gorn. And you're thinking, but that makes no sense. Why would you have a fast moving version of this Gorn when this Gorn is clearly shown to move like he's trapped in, a solid, like he's
Right.
like they beamed him into a rock.
Right.
And here's my theory as to how you make that work.
Okay.
Gorns are inherently fast-moving creatures. They're like lizards. They're just going to dart everywhere. So the way we see their ships move in Strange New Worlds makes
Yeah. It's all.
sense, because
Yeah.
that's, that they have fast reflexes. Now, when you have this outpost that the Federation sets up on this planet in the episode of TOS, and the Gorn feel like it's an incursion on their territory, the Gorn hegemony feel like maybe it's kind of really at the edge, like at the very, very far edge
Right.
of their space. And hold on one second. I have to okay, Google, stop. You probably heard that. They clicked it, but Google was trying to tell me something.
Google
Oh,
starts telling you about the Gorn.
yeah. Now it's going on about something else. I don't know. All right. So it's way out at the edge. Well, you don't want to send your best officer out there for this, we just need to get them off of the planet. Let's send old man X, so-and-so, who's, is at the end of his career. He likes to think he's a great warrior still, but let's face it, he doesn't move as fast as when he was a younger Gorn. So we're just going to send him out to take care of this. And, at least hopefully he won't mess that up.
He's a
And
little,
that's the Gorn you get
yeah.
in Arena.
He's a
And
little,
it's,
he's a little stiff from
yeah, he's got some
sitting in the spaceship all
arthritis.
week.
He's got a little extra around the middle here. It's just kind of let himself go a bit. So
Yeah, got
show
some gray
that,
gills.
yeah,
Yeah.
show that version of the Gorn, but
Mhm.
slimmed down and moving fast. And that's my headcanon about how that would all work.
All right. All right.
What about you?
Well, I initially thought I want to see the original Gorn, like you said, updated. But then I started thinking, what if we had, the Henson Company come in and we had a puppet, like a Muppet Gorn.
No, no. We want to go forward. We want to go forward. Even
Well,
Yoda is not a puppet anymore.
well, you mentioned the 5 or 7 versions of Gorns we had. I thought, well, why don't we just throw another one in there?
Well, we can't throw another version in. I'm not sure if a puppet is the best way to go, but I mean,
Actually, Henson and Company have done some pretty amazing creatures in the past. They could probably pull off something pretty cool.
all right. So you're going to go. So would it look like one of these, or would it be a completely redesigned
I'm
Gorn?
going to say, well, although Spuds McKenzie Gorn is kind of interesting, but I like the TOS one. I think if they updated it where it looked a little more realistic, but had that, basic look, I think that'd be perfect.
Hmm. Yeah, the other ones that we see here on our list, they look alien, but they seem a bit far removed from what we
Mhm.
saw. And I'd like to keep it in the same family, if you will.
Right.
Some of them are very, very far away from
So,
that.
so you wouldn't be down for Gonzo being dressed up as a Gorn?
No, no. Although if you had Miss Piggy, you could hiya, and you just gotta like go that Kirk or something. That might work, but I don't know. But what say you out there, listener? If you would,
There you go.
it's going. Oh my goodness, it's going to be from Dinosaur. Yes, that's what that one is from Enterprise. I'm
Yeah.
the Gorn, gotta love me.
That's right.
So, would you like to have one of the 5 Gorns we talked about? And there's probably more out there than the 5 I mentioned, but an existing Gorn and which type, or something completely different. And if you have an idea in mind of even something as far as I'd like it to be a puppet, I'd like it to be, uh, shadow puppets or whatever kind of thing you want that to
Hey,
be.
or animated like Roger Rabbit. He's cartoon, but everything else is real.
Ah, I see.
I could do this all day long, Clinton.
Well then wouldn't you then go with the lower decks Gorn? That one's already set, right?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah,
So
yeah.
done
Let's do
and
that.
done with that one.
That's right.
All right, but that just about wraps it up. It's time to refill
Going
the
out of
ba-
here. What's going on?
Yeah, we're gone. We're Gorn. You can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram and MeWe and all over the internet. I've tried to erase myself, but I keep coming back. It's like, it's like one of those permanent markers. You just can't get rid of it. I don't know.
Hey, tell everybody what you're doing this month.
Well, this summer, actually, I'm doing the April podcast today, which I normally do in April as a podcast every single day in April, hence April podcast today, got pushed out, and I just began it a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
and it's going to run I'll put a little star next to a little asterisk next to that, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday throughout the summer, ending at the beginning of August. A couple exceptions. Probably will not be an episode on the day this comes out, which is Friday, the 3rd of June. And then there won't be one on the 4th of July because 4th of July, people are busy doing other things like watching fireworks and such.
Yep.
But most every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, there
Okay.
will be a new episode of the story. And a twist this year, it is a musical.
Yes, and very well done. So do yourself a favor and go check it out. I don't sing in it, but I am in it
Indeed.
to some degree.
And you can hear the various stages of Craig's cold as we go through the story.
Yeah, that was terrible. I was trying to do voices and I had a cold. That's terrible. Anyway.
And where can they find
yeah,
you and Chuck, by the way?
Well, you can find Chuck not here.
Well,
but,
I know that, but that's...
No, normally you can find us over at on Technorama, and we record on Sunday nights at 9:30. You can just search for Technorama Podcast, and you'll find our website and all the social media outlets that we are on, as well as where to subscribe to the show. So go check it out. Technorama.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, and I forgot to mention I did have one more Gorn here.
There you go.
But the problem with Gorn is that they're green.
Yeah.
So he kind of disappears into the green screen on here. But my little pup.
He looks happy. He looks like he's smiling.
Pop. He's a pop Gorn. There we go.
Yeah, pop Gorn.
Take him to the movies. All right.
I personally like the candy Gorns. Halloween. The candy Gorns.
This is just so many puns can come out of Gorn. It's incredible. No wonder there's so many Gorns. They just have to come. So many jokes come out of it.
That's right.
All right, we have no end to music either. So if you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. So follow us on Twitter at The Topic is Trek. Visit our Facebook page where, again, you can make comments about how you feel about these episodes or your thoughts on what Gorn you would like, or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Craig, myself, and Chuck, who again is on an away mission. We're not saying it's at Risa, but maybe. Yeah. I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't put on the red shirt. Yeah, like we were going to coordinate that after the lag we've been having with the rest of the episode.
I know. All right. Good night,
Thanks
everybody.
to everyone who was in the live chat. Great to see you there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see that that Donna was in there for a bit. I'm not sure she's still there or not.
She was replying to Gary. All right, I'm going to end the broadcast. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night. The Gorn are going to get me.
Yeah.